Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Today, Bridget Griffin shared a video of her daily yoga routine, 2 self-help articles, and her new blog called Build Your Inner Bridge with Bridge. Girl, your sharing has turned into oversharing. No worries, Bridge. Geico has some info worth sharing with your 7 blog followers, like how you could save money on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim just by visiting geico.com. How's that for building your inner bridge? Bridge? Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Blog Talk Radio.
Join us for today's episode of the Utopian Realities Slope, Save Life on Planet Earth Blog Talk Radio Show, bringing you solution bearers with practical, proven, scientific ways to help you eliminate global level irradiation and extinction level threats from your body, and bringing forward the means to restore and sustain global waters, air, soil, and sentient life. Welcome. Greetings. This is Lisa Wolf, your host. Welcome to the Utopian Realities Slope, Save Life on Planet Earth, Saturday Scientist Forum, where we speak with and make the global community aware of scientists with actual solutions to the ongoing Fukushima, North American, and global irradiation and extinction level threats we're all facing. Solutions that you can help bring to bear. Solutions do exist right now that can save us from global annihilation and bring about a utopian reality now. Today we're speaking with David Yurth, whose professional focus for 50 years has been in the field of technology development, invention management, and system integration. Having served as chief scientist, managing partner, founder, director, and CEO of numerous companies, he currently is director of science and technology for the Nova Institute of Technology. I'd like to read an excerpt of the Nova Credo that guides and informs David Yurth's work. The sciences and technologies being developed by Nova and its colleagues are rooted in the application of a model of the physical and non-physical aspects of reality that operates dynamically from the inside out in an infinite round of self-organization and catastrophic annihilation. We are committed to the proposition that the technologies we are developing can alter the trajectory of the human experience in ways that are consistent with the underlying rules that govern the primary dynamics of all natural processes without further endangering the planet or the living things that populate it. And how nature works at all scales in all its myriad manifestations. We work to embody our learnings in the form of technologies and techniques that can be harnessed to inform and enhance the human experience. We collaborate with others to develop genuinely sustainable technologies. We share what we learn openly and unconditionally with others. We invite you to join us. David lived in Japan for many years, and he has a technology solution to address Fukushima Daiichi he'd love to see implemented. David, it's as always an honor to speak with you and with your help to bring light into a profoundly critical situation, Fukushima Daiichi and the global irradiation we must address. Welcome.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi,
how are
David.
You? Hi.
I am well, and how are you?
Well, I think we're doing pretty well. We're enjoying some early spring weather and enjoying a little bit of moisture these days up here in the high desert.
Beautiful. We are too. So, David, give us a frame and a perspective and what you see as a way forward.
Good. For your interest of your listeners and those who participate with you in this process, we've posted a couple of papers. One is a white paper that talks about one of the technologies that we've developed at Nova Institute for treating high-level radioactive waste, and a second paper that's an executive summary of the project we've undertaken to try to bring our technologies to bear in a specific way on several aspects of the problem. If your listeners are interested, they can go to the Nova Institute of Technology website at http://novaiot.com, and for additional information, also can go to my personal website, davidgyurth, YURTH.com, and for archives of presentations that I and others have made relative to this subject, can also go to the website of Dandelion Books. Carol Adler at Dandelion Books have published some of our writings and maintain an archive of other interviews and presentations at www.dandelion-books.com. So for detailed information about this conversation, your listeners are welcome to go there. And you're welcome, I think you probably already posted it on your site so that your listeners can have access to it there. The issues related to radioactive contamination span a spectrum of concerns that mean there is no silver bullet for solving the problem. In the long history of nuclear accidents, as you know, there are long-term cascading consequences that the survivors have to learn how to deal with. There are two fundamental problems with this conversation. The first is that the people who build and operate nuclear power plants know better than anyone that while the generation of the power using a fission technique may be benign, the byproducts of the fission and nuclear decay process produce a kind of waste material that is fundamentally immune under conventional protocols from any kind of remediation. It's the nuclear waste, the product of the decay cycle by the nuclear process, that gives us so much heartburn. 3 Mile Island was an eye-opener. Chernobyl was a genuine catastrophe. Fukushima has the potential to dwarf the long-term consequences of the Chernobyl catastrophe by at least several orders of magnitude. And the reason for that is that because of Fukushima's Daiichi power plant location, right on a fault line, right next to the ocean, right at the bottom of a long watershed slope, all of those factors in a perfect storm come into play to make the waste that's taken from that plant into the air and into the water, into the ocean, into the soil, into the food chain in such a way and at such high concentrations in some locations that they are really not suitable for human habitation for a long, long time. So we've worked for 3 decades within our own group and with associates and colleagues and collaborators, other scientists from all over the planet, worked a long time to find a way to unwind the atomic processes that operate together to create the waste materials. It's really tough. The chemistry of radioactive nuclide materials is astonishingly difficult. Nevertheless, we've developed in our own shop, we've developed 3 different techniques that with data and instrumentation and specific experimental evidence serve to remediate the level of radioactive emissions by one means or another reducing the half-life of the underlying decay materials. So the fact that radioactive emissions can be dealt with using scientifically proven methodologies, we've got a few in our own quiver, but there are other techniques that have also been developed that also demonstrably work. And the range of applications has to include both solid waste material and liquid waste material. The solid stuff is much easier to deal with, quite frankly, than the liquid stuff, and the liquid stuff is much more dangerous. If you look at now over a 30-year span of the level of radioactive contamination being inflicted on the southeastern coast by leakage from the Savannah River plant, if you really look at the data, it exceeds the level of contamination that is being generated at Fukushima. And here's the scary part. There are 142 sites in North America where high-level radioactive waste from fission processes in nuclear power production have been cited. And these are all the places that contain all the waste material that the Bush administration insisted they were going to put into packages and trains and trucks and whatever and take to Yucca Mountain in Nevada.
Right.
So at Savannah, if you go on the internet, you'll see the pictures of these huge 20-foot diameter stainless steel spheres. These are the containment vessels into which the materials have been poured over the years. And this is the contaminated cooling fluid and contaminated fluid from the heat exchanger systems that are used to cool the turbine sections of the power plants. Those stainless steel containers are 20 inches thick, and they leak. And the reason they leak is the scary, scary part. Nobody in the nuclear industry wants to talk about this phenomenon that's called neutron embrittlement. And here's how it works. Neutron embrittlement is the process which involves the collision between high-speed neutrons that are emitted by the radioactive material, which then collide with the nuclear material of each atom that makes up the crystalline matrix of the encapsulating material. What happens is that those neutrons are expelled at such high velocities that when they strike the nuclear material of the atoms that make up the stainless steel, they literally destroy those nuclear materials. And when that happens, it also disrupts the viability of the crystalline matrix itself. And over time, within 10 years after those spheres were first established in that waste field, they began leaking. And they don't leak just at the bottom, they leak everywhere. They sweat that material out through the fractured, embrittled gaps that occur in the stainless steel itself, 20 inches thick. That field at Savannah River is so contaminated that human beings cannot go there. Within the last 10 days, we've begun getting reports that similar kinds of issues are now being officially recognized at the Hanford nuclear power plant in the state of Washington.
Yes.
The waste stream that is resulting from the leakage through the containment vessels into the groundwater, which is being carried into the aquifers and out into the ocean by the river, is now approximating the contamination level that's being emitted at Fukushima. The fact of the matter is that there is no material ever devised by mankind that can withstand the process of neutron embrittlement. There's nothing we've ever built, no vitreous material, no glassine encapsulation, no metal of sufficient density or any alloys or any ceramics of any kind that can contain this stuff for more than 10 years. And that's why at Carlsbad, at the WIPP facility in southern New Mexico, that place suffered a catastrophic failure of the encapsulation materials within which military high-level nuclear waste being stored. They made a whole bunch of excuses and floated out a bunch of nonsensical ideas about the causes, radioactive kitty litter in a garbage bag. That's just nonsense.
Right.
It's just nonsense. The issue now at Fukushima is so complicated by so many factors that in order to really actively remediate the damage, you have to do a half a dozen different things all simultaneously and in parallel. We know how to do 5 of the 6 things. We know how to deal with the contaminated topsoil, right? They scooped up the Japanese government and TEPCO and their contractors scooped the top half a foot, 6 inches deep, of contaminated topsoil, 25 kilometers surrounding the power plant, put it in double garbage bags, and of all things, took it into the middle of Tokyo Bay and created a new island out there. And the next time a tsunami comes in, the next time an F5 monsoon roars across Tokyo Bay, they're going to find those bags all over the countryside, filled, contaminated, high-level nuclear waste that's going to get into everything. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. It violates all the treaties to do that. It violates Japan's own laws. There are actually restraining orders that have been issued by the Supreme Court of Japan prohibiting those practices. Nevertheless, the government and TEPCO and the contractors continue to do it. We know how to treat that material, but we've been prohibited from doing it, and so has everybody else. So what your listeners need to know in this conversation is that in 2002, 2003, our development teams were invited to supply the Department of Energy in the United States with data and a stack of documentation that passed the federal weight test describing our technique for remediating radioactive emissions and this high-level contaminating stuff. And we did that. The Department of Energy independently validated our equipment, our methodology, and our experimental results. And then in 2005, we got a phone call from the people at the Department of Energy who are responsible for solving this problem. Not only did they not support the deployment of the technology, they prohibited us under threat of arrest under FISA as terrorists from continuing our research. We were threatened with professional and personal extinction at the risk of continuing to try to figure out how to solve the problem. It's not that the technologies don't exist. They absolutely do. There is no viable point of access to the material by anybody I have ever met or talked to, where application of the remediation technique is permitted by the nuclear establishment that controls access to that material at that site or any other site. So we've done a couple of things to try to find a way to make this manageable for people. On my website and in my writings, things that are posted on the internet, your listeners will find reference to a radiation detection device that we've invented and we're getting ready to release for public consumption. It uses a brand new technology. And the purpose of this radiation detector device is to empower helicopter moms and everybody who buys food with a way to go in and point an apparatus the size of a flashlight at the foodstuffs they're about to purchase. Their meat, their mushrooms, their milk, their dirt food, their vegetables. And when radioactive emissions are present in those materials, this little apparatus will light up LEDs and tell them that's not something you want to buy because you don't dare eat it because it's contaminated. And it's configured to read two very specific kinds of radiation. This is not a dose meter. It is not a Geiger counter. It is not a device that's intended to identify what the emission source is. We don't care. What we want is for people to know whether or not the food they're buying is contaminated in a way that's efficient and convenient and inexpensive and accurate and reliable. So the equipment is calibrated to read cesium-134, which is the long-term nuclear waste that covers everything in the United States. It's in gardens and on foods and in plants, and it's eaten by cows, and it's in the milk. It's the product of more than 800 nuclear detonations on the soil of the United States, most of it in Nevada. It continues to rain down on us all the time because it's carried in the atmosphere. That's the old nasty stuff. The new nasty stuff is cesium-137, which is a daughter decay product of the weapons-grade plutonium that was being manufactured and being stored under the cooling pond of Daiichi No. 4. That's the stuff that is contaminating the tuna and the seafood and the shellfish, killing things within 30 miles of the site of Daiichi. You don't dare even go in the water, much less eat anything that comes out of there. That's now being carried by the trade winds. It's being carried by the currents. It's been detected as far south as Punta Arenas in Chile, clear down in the Tierra del Fuego. So it's everywhere now in the ecosystem. We're going to give people a device that they can attach to their cell phone or use as a standalone to determine whether or not the stuff that they're buying, the stuff that they're eating, the places where they live are contaminated. And by doing that, what we hope to do is empower people to complain, to bring attention to whoever is the vendor for the stuff that is contaminated with information that can be shared with everybody else. And by bringing a concerted, relentless attack by really angry consumers, we hope to have the ability to demonstrate a genuine impact on the supply side of the food chain so that the suppliers will eventually have to come to grips with this issue and put pressure on the nuclear establishment to deal with the problem, because we can't deal with it directly. So that's what we're doing. And we invite anybody who has genuine, legitimate, real access to engage in demonstrations of the applicability of useful technologies at Fukushima. If any of your listeners know somebody who actually can hand carry us and our technologies in there in a way that is safe for us and our people, we're ready to go in there today and start doing something that works. So far, we've been rebuffed at every opportunity. We've never found a way to penetrate that egg. So we're going to come at it indirectly by empowering moms and people who buy food to bring attention to the extent of the contamination that's being proliferated. So all the documentation that we've provided for you and for your listeners will inform them about what we do, how we do it, what it does, how it works, what the apparatus is, what the mathematical formulas are. Everything that anybody who needs to be involved in this process would want to know about is contained in these documents, and we make them available on an open source basis so that your listeners have unrestricted access to this information. And if they don't believe it works, they're welcome to have a conversation with us based on the data and the math and the experimental evidence that we've already generated. We want to solve the problem, but we're not being permitted to do that.
And that's why we're coming together as Slope, and I'm so appreciative of your being part of the solution. We're going to have to visit again. For more information on David's work, please visit davidgyurth.com and the website of the Nova Institute of Technology at novaiot.com. And you can request a copy of the white paper he created that addresses the issues related to the Fukushima catastrophe by emailing him at millennium.futurist@gmail.com. And to learn how to become part of the Utopian Reality Slope mission, to become part of the solution, contact whitebuffalonation@gmail.com and visit wbnslope.weebly.com and our White Buffalo Nation Facebook page, and support the Slope mission at gofundme.com/slope. Join us tomorrow, May 8th, Mother's Day at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, when we turn our attention to a solution to the global water crisis via atmospheric water generation with guest Terry LeBleu. And now for a real treat, please enjoy our closing song, Root of All My Pain, composed and performed by David Yurth's daughter Jennifer and her band, 6 Feet in the Pines. Together, let's save life on planet Earth. That's yours, mine, and all of ours, on and in the land, waters, and air. Thanks, David, for joining us. Till next time, this is Lisa Wolf for Slope. Save life on planet Earth.
Untie my ribbon, untie my ring. Steady my shaking hand, steady my heart's pace. Tell me all will be forgiven when all is bare. Do not forsake me when I show what I can see. I have found a diamond, I've found a flame. I have found a reason, all my pain. I must face the music, I must play the game. I have felt the ground shake and I'll never be the same. then peel the Havana, pour for me the wine, and then dance me to the rhythm of a drum beat very hard. Brother, take me back to where we began. Show me where to start.
Now at the Home Depot, save 20% with bulk pricing on GAF high-definition shingles and 30% with bulk pricing on insulation. That'll bring that roofing project down within reach. And that insulation project, you'll be covered. If you're ready to start, now you know where. Get bulk pricing on shingles and insulation, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. See store for details and minimum purchase quantities. Selection varies by store.